What's up, guys? Jay Teasley here with the latest Mustang and automotive news. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all the subscriptions. It's been awesome. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to do a giveaway or to give something back to you guys for all the comments, likes, and subscriptions, and I just really appreciate it. So I'm gonna try to figure something out. But in the meantime, what I'm doing is I'm answering questions that people or comments. And Senator Shelby said I was talking about the 2018 Mustang GT with a Roush Supercharger. They just released. I made a video on that. If you haven't checked that out, I'll put a link there. But they just released the 700 horsepower Roush Supercharger, and basically you're going to be able to get a 2018 Mustang GT, bolt on a supercharger, and go. It'll have 700 horsepower with a warranty. So that is about 30 horsepower over last year. They rated it at 670 for the 2015 to 2017 Mustang GTs with a Roush supercharger. So this is the stage one. They'll get even more and more power as you go. But this is 700 with a warranty. So what we're going to do is look at the price on that. We're going to compare it to the GT500. He says he likes to have, well, what we're going to do is go over the engineering of the GT500 just a little bit. I'm not an expert, but I did a little bit of research, and we're going to look at the 2018 prices over here, how much it's going to cost, and then what we're going to do is look at some of the used supercharged 2015 through 2017s that are for sale on the market. So first, let's just see how much the 2018 Mustang is. This is a base model with no options. It starts at $36,000. That's without tags, title, and taxes, right? So if you add the taxes to this vehicle and registration and all that, you're looking at about another $3,500 probably, with a 10% tax almost, and whatever else fees that you have to pay. So you're almost at $40,000 for a base model Mustang GT. Then what you're going to do is add about $7,000 for the blower, the supercharger from Roush, which will make it 700 horsepower. And on top of that, what you would like to do is have it installed so that you can keep your factory warranty because you just bought a brand new car. So I think that they charge somewhere between $1,500 and $2,500 to do that at the Ford dealership. So you're looking at $40,000 for the vehicle plus taxes and all the other fees. On top of that, 40,000 plus 7,000 would be 47,000 plus, let's just say, $2,000 for the installation. So that's 47, 48. That's $49,000 for a base model brand new car. $49,000 on top of that. So that's for the 2018. Now, if you want the premium version or anything like this, then what you're going to want to do is go back here. So we're at $49,000 right now for the 2018. Let's go ahead and add the premium. The price difference is $4,000. So that would put you at about $53,000. And if you load it up with the other packages that they have, it's just going to keep going up. So $53,000 plus another, it'll go up about another, you can go up another almost $8,000 with all the extra options, which would bring the price up to about $60,000 almost. So that's for the 2018. All right, now let's look at the Shelby prices, and let's talk about the Shelby, the GT500, just for a second. And one of the great videos that you should look up if you haven't seen this already is the 2013 Shelby GT500 engineering overview. Just go to Ford Performance YouTube channel and type in GT500. It should be one of the first ones that pop up. And they spend about 5 minutes talking about the GT500. What's great about it, they've got this engineer, John Pfeiffer, who is, if you haven't been around engineers, it's a certain type of person that does that, and they have a very engineering mindset and education, and they can really explain things in an interesting way. But basically, he spends about 5 minutes, which I think there's other videos where you can get even more in depth. You can watch these pre-production, these press release videos where the engineers get up there and talk for like 2 hours about the engine specifications and the driveline specifications. It's really fun if you're into that stuff, and I like that kind of stuff, so it's fun to listen to. But he spends about 5 minutes in this short video talking about why the GT500 is special. And if you don't know, it has 662 horsepower from the years 2013 to 2014. It has carbon fiber drive shaft. It has it's made to go 200 miles an hour. That was one of the goals, is to make the GT500 go 200 miles an hour, and I'm pretty sure it does. If not, it's right on. It's either like 197 or 202. I think they claimed 202, 201, something like that from Ford. So he's going over the clutch, the pressure plate, and how it was, basically designed to withstand 200 miles an hour and this 662 horsepower. The shift linkage, the pedals, everything is designed a little differently and specifically for that power rating. Whereas if you look at a 2018, it's not made to withstand that power. It will withstand that power, but it's not made specifically for 700 horsepower like the GT500 is. This car was designed to go 200 miles an hour with 662 horsepower and have a warranty, and maybe drive like that for 100,000 miles, 200,000 miles. So and then there's also a track package that you can get on the GT500, which has a transmission, engine, and differential cooler. So that's interesting. Also, I believe in the GT500, the engine was a 5.8 liter, which gives you almost a full liter of displacement over the 2018 Mustang, which will give you more torque, essentially. It still gets good gas mileage, even though the engine is larger. It gets 15 city, 24 highway. So I found that was interesting a little bit too. So if you want to watch the video and get more of the details, there's production, there's these release videos that they have where the engineers talk. You can watch those if you're really a geek like myself. Also, just watch this video. But let's look at the prices. The big thing is that the GT500 is not a it's still a mass-produced vehicle, but there's a numbered. It's a lower production number, so that sometimes increases the value. And also, it's just not another Mustang GT. It's a GT500, Shelby GT500, which has a racing heritage. It's a very special, specific vehicle, and it tends to hold its value. So these are the absolute cheapest GT500s that I've found in the nation on Car Gurus from 2013 to 2014. I found one in Vegas for $34,000. That's the cheapest one on Car Gurus. It has 64,000 miles on it, which is fairly high miles for a GT500 because you don't know what's been done to that vehicle since it's a high-performance vehicle. Nonetheless, you could probably buy this car and jump in it and drive it every day and have no issues. But there are plenty right around the $40,000 range. This one is $40,000 and it has 21,000 miles. So there are low mileage versions also. Let me make sure. One thing to check if you're looking at prices is you want to make sure that, see, this has an accident frame damage report. So you don't want that vehicle. I was wondering because that looked too good of a deal to be true. So what you want to do is make sure that these vehicles haven't been wrecked. And it would be even greater if you can have a one owner like this one. No issues on the title, no accidents, one owner. Doesn't mean it's never had an accident, it just means it's not on the title, which usually means it's not significantly damaged, but you can get a paint and body guy, or if you know what you're looking at, then you can do it yourself. Now, I wouldn't want aftermarket wheels on my GT500 because you want to retain its value a little bit, at least keep them around so when you resell it you can get more money. But there's a front bumper that looks so aggressive, looks awesome. So I just want to show some prices. Another way what you can do is just go over here and go to best deals, and I don't know how they calculate the best deals, probably something like a little bit under market value with decent miles. So here's one, here's a 14, and these are the asking prices. These are always negotiable. 10% off of $4,290 is $4,000, $4,200. So you could at least get a couple thousand. You could probably get this car for $40,000. And this looks pretty clean. You just want to make sure. You also want to look at what kind of tires they put. If they put the factory tires, the OEM tires, expensive ones, that means that someone's taking care of it. No 3 owners, no accidents, no titles. 3 owners is fine, just means it switched hands a couple times. You just want to make sure that they have, this one has some modifications, so you know, in the best situation you would get one with no modifications and 1 owner and all this stuff, but they're sometimes harder to find and a little bit more expensive. That's why these are the best deals. So it depends on you want to spend a little bit more. Okay, enough on that subject. So that's where the prices are on the GT500, and I imagine that these prices, since it's a used vehicle, these prices will probably stay right in this range. They're not going to drop off. The 2018 Mustang, you're going to lose. We got to a price of $49,000 with the Supercharger added on the base model, almost $60,000 on the premium with the Supercharger. Now you're going to lose 25% of that on top of. So if you buy a brand new Mustang, you're going to lose 25% of that value. So let's multiply 25%. The number that we got was for the base model was about, let's just say it was, how much was the base model Mustang GT? It's going to say 36 with taxes and all that stuff. You're not going to get that back. So it's going to be $40,000. So 0.25 times 40. You're going to lose 10 grand. I could have done that in my head. You're going to lose 10 grand as soon as you buy this vehicle. And then on top of that, you're going to put almost $10,000 into a Supercharger. Well, nobody's going to pay you for that Supercharger. I mean, they're not going to give you $10,000 for that Supercharger since you supercharged your Mustang. You're going to get about $4,000, maybe $5,000 back. So $40,000 car goes down to $30,000 as soon as you buy it. You're going to put another $10,000 into the Supercharger, and you're only going to get $5,000 back. So you've lost $15,000 as soon as you bought it, and that's a significant amount of money. If you did that every year, that's $15,000 a year. That'd be like reducing your income, $15,000 a year. If you do that every 2 years, it's $7,500 a year. It's a lot of money, and it adds up. If you keep doing it over and over and over again, I know a lot of people that do it, and I've done it in the past when I was younger. Not at that high level, but once you start doing the math, it doesn't make sense. So, and these cars are special. This is a special vehicle. I love the 2018 Mustang, and I bought a brand new car. But looking at the numbers, I'm going to wait 6 months to 12 months and get a used one on the market because of the depreciation cost is so high. I would just rather try to hold my emotions down and just wait. But in the meantime, a better investment would be something like a GT500 because you're going to get the same performance, the same power. This vehicle is engineered for that, and the prices are right. And when you go to sell it, if you buy this car for $42,900, you could probably go back in and resell it for almost what you paid for it, pretty close to what you paid for it. Now, to give an example of what I was saying about you losing money, here are some people who bought the 2016, 2015, and this guy invested $20,000, and he's selling it for $37,800. It's a supercharged car. It's got a VMP blower, which is kind of a root style blower. He's got old pump gears, a tune, all this stuff, and good looking car. And it probably makes 750 crank horsepower. It's got 35,000 miles, a little higher mileage. He's asking 37, and I doubt he has sold it yet. Yeah, it makes 660 to the wheels. Super fast car. This has independent rear suspension, all this stuff. So he's put $20,000 on top of the $42,000 that he paid. So he's got about $65,000 into this vehicle if he bought it brand new. And he's asking 37, so he's lost a lot of money. but that's part of the process when you're modifying a car. It's a lot of fun. You have a lot of you make the car into yours because you've transformed it into something that you wanted to create. So that's the positive side of modifying. You can make it whatever you want to, and it's all yours. Here's another one. Here's a 16. He's asking $36,000 for it. He's reduced the price. It's got about 26,000 miles. It's got a Roush blower, clutch, exhaust, shifter, some aesthetic things. Good looking car. And same situation. You can get these cars for mid-30s all day long. 727 horsepower. And it's newer than the GT500. Probably gets a little bit better gas mileage. Probably it's possible that it rides a little better. It's got a little better technology. So if you're looking from a purely numbers perspective, it's really hard to figure out which one's a better deal, because the 2016 has a little bit better technology, a little more modern, modern technology. It has a independent rear suspension. So it almost seems like this is a little bit newer technology and everything. So it seems like a really good value. The problem is, are you going to be able to resell it and retain its money? And it's not retain its value, and it's not as special as a GT500 at the end of the day. It doesn't have the heritage. A lot of the parts weren't engineered, like the clutch. If you're going to drive this hard with 727 horsepower, it's possible the clutch needs to be changed if you're driving it hard. It's possible that you will need to change the axles if you're going to race it down the drag strip. And it's possible, if this isn't a performance pack vehicle, if you do decide to take it to the racetrack and do road racing, you're going to need to change the brakes and the brake fluid. So it's not quite designed to withstand high heat temperatures. Now, the Supercharger is going to produce a lot of heat if you decide to go road racing also, so you want to make sure you're cooling. If you don't have a performance pack, even if you do have a performance pack, I'm not sure that you could just lap it all day long. I'm not sure. So those are things to consider. Now the GT500, from what I understand, is designed to do that more so than a GT with a Roush blower. So that's another thing to consider. Now if you're just going to putt around in the street, this would probably be a good value if you're not interested in all those things. But once again, here's one more vehicle on the forums. Lowered the price to $35,000, and the reason prices are lowering is just because I don't see these cars selling, but it seems like a really good value to me. This car has got a Whipple Supercharger. It makes 640 wheel horsepower. That's over 700 horsepower, 750 almost, and it has some aftermarket parts. It only has 6,000 miles on it. It's a performance pack premium, and it's going for $35,000. That's a really low price, which means you would probably take 34. And this car has only 6,000 miles, so really cheap, a lot of new technology, tons of power. The only downside is it's not quite engineered to handle that power. It doesn't have the heritage of the GT500, and it's probably not going to hold its value as much. Now, if you decide to put all these parts on yourself, definitely it's very expensive, and you're going to lose that money. But if you pick one up secondhand, that's probably the way to do it if you're concerned about hanging on to your money. So I think that about wraps it up. Hope I did a decent job explaining my thoughts on your different options versus a GT500 used on the used market over here. You can look at those values versus a 2018. We didn't really cover performance. They're kind of comparable, except the only thing I could say is that the GT500 is geared to go 200 miles an hour. So the first gear is really long. I've heard that they can do 0 to 60 in first gear. The first gear is so long. So that's probably helps it get 24 miles per gallon, a little bit better fuel mileage, and it's just geared crazy long, which is kind of unique. Performance-wise, I think the 2018 with a Roush blower will be very competitive with the GT500. Now, which one has more power potential? That would be interesting. This has a bigger engine, but the 2018 Mustang has newer technology. So when you start changing the supercharger pulleys and doing exhaust and all that, that's a whole nother video, I suppose, as the 2018 Mustang gets out and people begin testing them. That's what I'm really curious about, is how well the 2018 Mustang does with performance modifications. So that's my take on what you should do. Not what you should do, but just what the options are. The price ranges for the Supercharged 2015 through 2017s on the used market. The price for the 2018 with the additional Supercharger, and the GT500 used prices. So thanks again, guys, for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions. Appreciate it.